Hello homemakers! Today is a special collab with the YouTube channel Recipe Archaeology. Stephanie and Christine's channel is dedicated to uncovering the weird and wacky retro recipes from their amazing vintage cookbook collection. Of course, they have the Betty Crocker recipe card library like I do, and so we thought it'd be fun if we picked out cards for each other to try. So let's see what they picked out for me today.
Hey, Unboxing Betty fans!
Hi, everyone!
It's Stephanie.
And Christine.
So we picked a card for Melinda to make. She picked a card for us. Melinda, you are making
Ta-da!
Swedish Tea Ring.
Yay! Swedish Tea Ring!
Yes.
It comes from the section for
Comfort Coffee. Listen,
Comfort Coffee.
if Melinda lived closer, we would have her come for coffee.
In a heartbeat.
If you came for coffee, Melinda, we would fix you the Swedish tea rings.
We would!
But in the meantime, you're just going to have to fix it yourself.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, have fun.
Bye!
All right, Swedish tea ring, let's get started. Swedish tea ring is from section G, Come for Coffee, and it's card number 3. It looks really cute and really pretty. I've never had a Swedish tea ring before, but I think it is basically just kind of a cinnamon raisin bread. It has a similar assembly method to the tuna ring and cheese sauce that I made. This is kind of like a sweet cousin to that savory dish. So I'm kind of confident about the assembly of this because it's, you know, you're making the bread, you're turning it into a ring, you're cutting it, you're twisting it. I'm feeling good about that. But we are using yeast and Bisquick in this recipe, and I've never combined those two things before. So we'll see how that goes. For our Swedish tea ring, we will need a packet of active dry yeast, some warm water, an egg, some granulated sugar, 2.5 cups of the Bisquick baking mix, softened butter, brown sugar, raisins, some cinnamon, and then we are also making a quick icing out of confectioner's sugar and warm water and vanilla. Okay, so our first step is to make the cinnamon sugar filling. So it's good to kind of go in once we have the dough going. So I have 1/3 cup of cinnamon, and I'm adding the 2 teaspoons wait, that's the brown sugar. I'm adding 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And then we need 1/3 cup of raisins. I'm just gonna mix this together with a fork. It's a bit clumpy, but I think it'll be fine. Trying to break up the big, shoot. I'm always making a mess. I'm trying to break up the big clumps of sugar and make sure it's combined well with the raisins and the cinnamon. This doesn't really feel like a ton of raisins. Would it be crazy if I added a few more? I don't know. That's the whole reason for the season, right? I think that's pretty well combined. So now we are going to start on the bread dough. So it says in a large mixing bowl, we are going to dissolve our yeast in warm water. So there goes our little yeast. And here I have some warm water. I measured the temperature. It's at around 120 right now. It's supposed to be at 115. But I'm hoping that sitting out for a minute, it has gotten down to 115. We don't want to kill the yeasties, so I'm just gonna kind of mix this to dissolve. Aren't you supposed to wait when you make yeast for like bubbles to know that it's alive? It doesn't say to do that in the recipe, but maybe I should. Okay, I'm gonna wait for some bubbles to appear. All right, I'm tired of waiting. Let's put in the sugar. We have 1 egg, and then we need to measure 2.5 cups of Bisquick. And we're going to use the proper Betty Crocker method of measuring dry ingredients, which is to spoon it into the measuring cup. I'm confused as to why we're using Bisquick and not just like flour, because doesn't Bisquick already have like things that make bread rise? Like baking powder or baking soda or something in it. So I don't know why we're doing that and yeast, but well, we'll see what happens. Okay. Bisquick is a General Mills product. General Mills owns Betty Crocker. I have a whole episode about the history of Bisquick. I'll put a link to it if you want to know more about Bisquicks. intriguing beginnings. So now I'm gonna go ahead and it says beat vigorously. So I am beating this dough vigorously. This is very wet, sticky dough that's come together. So now I'm gonna go ahead and turn this out onto a floured surface and we'll knead it. This is a very sticky dough. I don't know how we're gonna knead it. I don't remember the dough being this sticky when I made the tuna ring. I'm just gonna get my hands floury too. It does feel good. It feels nice and pliable. It feels kind of like pizza dough. Roll into rectangle 16 by 9 inches. Oh, rolling, rolling, rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling. I think this is good. So let's go ahead and start filling it. All right, now we're gonna brush the dough with butter, which, because I melted it in the microwave, is at various states of solid and liquid. My rectangle is not very rectangular, but that'll be okay. Worst case scenario, it's just a little rustic, okay? Now, we're gonna take our cinnamon sugar raisin mixture and sprinkle it. It smells really good. I'm excited. Now, roll up beginning at wide side. So I think I'll start here. Rolling, 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 rolling. Please don't be stuck on the board. Okay, we got it, we got it, we got it unstuck. Okay, okay. See, now I'm glad I have this extra here because I'll pull this over and you will never know. You'll never know it was stuck to the board. Okay, I think we just pick it up, right? Just pick it up real fast. Ready? I'm not ready, I'm scared. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, get this out of here. Now there's all of this stuff on the two ends where there's no cinnamon. I might just pinch it off. Pinch edge of dough to seal the seam side down shaped dough into ring on a greased baking sheet. Pinch edges together. Okay, that's what I've done. We have our ring, and you know, we have this bit of a seam here, but I think it'll get disguised once we do the snipping. So that's what we'll do next. Okay, this is the part that makes me nervous. With scissors, make cuts 2/3 of the way through the ring at 1-inch intervals. Turn each section on its side. Okay, I'm just gonna go like this, right? And what you're supposed to do then is like expose that by twisting it on its side. Squitch. This is a really cool feeling. I like the cutting of a ring of dough. So it doesn't feel very even. You can definitely tell that this section was like bigger than this section, and this looks kind of sad, but you know, we'll see what happens once it bakes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sit and let this rise for an hour, and then we're gonna put it in the oven. So we'll check back in once it's risen a bit. All right, our Swedish tea ring has been rising for an hour, allegedly. I don't see a big difference in size. I think maybe it's puffed up a little bit. I think we'll just have to see what happens in the oven. I think it's gonna get really nice and big and poofy in the oven. You can definitely see it's a lot thicker on this side and thinner on this side, but that's okay. It'll be rustic. So now I have the oven set to 375. We're gonna go ahead, pop it in, and then it will bake for 15 minutes. While the tea ring's in the oven, we're gonna make the quick icing, which is just a cup of confectioner sugar, some water and vanilla. This kind of icing can be really finicky. You put just barely too much water in it and it will become like way too liquidy. So you have to be like super careful. Try not to make a huge mess, but I always do. That's a cup of powdered sugar. I'm gonna start with the vanilla. It's a half teaspoon of vanilla. Now this is 2 teaspoons of water. I'll put like half in first. Okay, yeah, we definitely need all of that. Because you want it to be drippy, but you don't want it to just like drip off the finished baked good. You want it to kind of cling to the bread. A little bit more. All right, so now we're ready to decorate as soon as it comes out of the oven. All right, it's been 15 minutes. It's freshly out of the oven. I let it cool a little bit so that it wouldn't melt the icing too much. But as you can see, it's golden brown and kind of flaky almost. I'm intrigued to cut into it. It also seems to have like kind of spilled out some of the like cinnamon sugar butter mixture. So we'll see. I have the icing here and I think it's time to just kind of ice it. It is kind of just drippy. It does drip out like this. So maybe I'll do like this kind of motion. I'm icing it on the parchment paper and then we're gonna move it to the final serving dish because I figured we wouldn't want the icing on the serving dish if we can help it. I'm gonna attempt to lift it and move it in one piece. Let's see what we can do here. Nope, it's breaking, it's breaking. My second idea was to lift it like this. Okay. Now the final step is I saw it had walnuts and maraschino cherries on it for decoration. So we're just gonna alternate cherries and walnuts, I guess. All right, it's time to taste. I'm gonna go in and just take a big slice. I think these rings are actually designed for them to be like pull apart, but I don't know, it looks pretty solid to me. I think it's worth like kind of slicing into it, so. I just took a single segment. I never know if I'm supposed to eat these things with a fork or with my hands. Like it's kind of like a cinnamon roll, but it is rather like crumbly. So cute. It is cooked through, which I was nervous that I didn't cook it long enough. Very much cinnamon roll vibes with that like simple frosting on top. Very cinnamon roll. It is a little dry, but I think the point of this is you're supposed to have it with tea or coffee. So if I did have a beverage with it, I think I would find it good. Yeah, it's weird. It's like somewhere in between bread and a pastry. Like it isn't quite a cinnamon roll. Like it's a little more crumbly than that. All right, Swedish tea ring. This was really fun. It was so easy to put together and it turned out really festive and beautiful. I was so worried about it being lopsided, like one side looked thicker than the other, but it kind of evened itself out in the oven. And once you put the drizzle of icing on and the decorations, it's like you can't even tell. I think this would be perfect for Christmas time. It just is really festive and really easy, would look great at like a dessert table. So I am gonna give it 5 out of 5 red spoons. Why not? This was so fun. I'm so grateful for Recipe Archaeology for picking up this card for me. I don't think it's one I would have necessarily picked for myself to make, but I had a good time and this might even become a regular recipe in my rotation. So I picked out a really fun card for them to tackle next. So be sure to go head to their channel now and watch their video. I'll put the link up here and down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Recipe Archaeology's channel, and until next time, happy homemaking.